trying to get up off of 33. Yep. Mr. Kraft is, he has some problems.
I did.
Okay. The May 4th Economic Development Committee meeting will please come to order, courtesy of the floor. Seeing no one, we'll move into the discussion regarding the General Purpose Authority Lafayette College project.
And Mark Hartney will take that one.
This is one of those that resolutions we have done numerous times through the years. So
Good evening.
good evening, Mark.
We have on the council agenda tonight, and we wanted to present it to you first, is a health, safety, and welfare resolution for a Lafayette College bond that is being run through the General Purpose Authority. I have Mr. Craig Becker from Lafayette College here to describe the project and answer some questions.
Good. Thank you.
Good evening. Craig Becker, the Associate Vice President for Finance and Business at Lafayette College. We are looking to issue $80 million of new monies for the construction of a new integrated sciences center. Our existing biology building was built in 1969. And it's time that we upgrade our sciences facilities. We also will have about $5 million of additional new money construction on campus, academic buildings, and replacement of the electrical grid on campus. We are also looking to refinance 2 tranches of our Series 2008 bonds. One tranche is due in November 1st, 2027 for $20.9 million, and the other is due in 2034, $52.5 million. And we would be refinancing both with matched maturities.
We all know that there's a bit of controversy with housing expansion, and this has absolutely nothing to do with that. So this is just to make that clear. So, any other questions?
Yeah, I have
Okay.
a question. It is just for a point of information.
Sure.
Okay. You say that the building is. Are you going to renovate the building, change it? Are you going to knock it down, rebuild?
We are knocking down an existing facilities office building, and we'll replace that with a new 5-story building on that site. So this is new construction. The other renovations, well, it's a renovation of the electrical grid.
No, I'm more concerned about the building.
No,
When
the
was
building itself will be new construction.
And how long has that building been there?
Well, the existing science building, Kunkel, that will remain in place.
Kunkel's okay.
Yeah, that will remain in place. We'll renovate that in maybe 2 or 3 years for classrooms, office space.
Okay.
But the integrated science center, new construction, on the place of it's really a Quonset hut.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So that would be new construction, about 100,000 square feet.
Okay, my next question, I don't know if I should. I think Mr. Kraft would probably want to know about it too. Is it the labor that you're going to be using when you're involved in these programs? Can you tell us a little bit about it?
That's a good question. I would assume that it's union labor, but I'd have to get back to you on that.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to know what's the total price of this new 5-story building? Do you know?
The new building will cost about $76.5 million. 1.5 is will be funded through a gift. 75 million through the bond.
The bond issue. The bond issue I don't believe makes it prevailing wage. Do you know who the construction manager is already? Have you
Turner.
gone out to that?
Turner.
Turner. Oh, okay.
Turner Construction.
From Philly.
Yes.
All right. That's perfect. I like that you have Turner doing it. It's a good deal. Okay.
Mr. Kraft
Thank you.
is smiling.
Well, Turner's a big. They do a lot of their work. You've had a long-term relationship with them, and they have a long-term relationship with using local labor from the area. They really go out of their way to do it. So I'm happy with that.
While you're here, I'd just like to compliment you on what a nice job Lafayette's done with the Gateway to Easton, with the everything there.
We appreciate that. We
You even
consider our relationship with the city very important.
I can't wait for
Very
the tram.
attractively done.
Well, it's profitable. In this situation, these situations are profitable for both, okay? And Lafayette has the power and the endowment to take care of things, and we know that, we respect that, okay? And we hope that that will play into the future for our needs for the city.
Well, we've had a long relationship with the city, and we plan on having a good relationship with the city going forward.
Thank you, Mr. Becker.
But no part of this is that elevator going up the side of the hill yet.
No
Can you make it like-
elevator yet.
Can you make it like a Pittsburgh trolley car, that goes up on an angle? That would be kind of cool.
We have that donkeys going up there.
That would be fun, yeah.
And that's the Sky Needle.
Sky
Yeah,
Needle.
Like that?
Is that what
this-
that's called?
That's what I call it.
I've only
What's
been there a
the
million
in-
times,
But
but
you're
the
not involved in
incline.
it.
This
The
is-
incline.
You're not, no.
this is a totally
This
different
has
part.
nothing-
Okay,
Incline.
yeah,
when
that-
you get a
Isn't that
chance,
the
the person that's
incline?
involved in that elevator, or whatever it's going to be, would you have them come here?
Sure, but
We'd
that's
like to hear about it.
That's on a back burner.
Oh,
That's
is
on
it?
a-
really?
Yeah,
Is it way back burner?
that's a way back burner.
Ah, I like that. That's good, okay.
Yeah.
Bob wants to be the first one to test it, to make sure it
Well,
doesn't
you want to
fall
be the
back
first
down.
one to jump
we
in
did-
the aquarium. I mean, come on.
We didn't need an elevator up the hill at Lehigh, so
There-
Yeah, and that's the truth. Those are some
Yeah,
tough hills.
That's why those kids are heavier than they used to be, man. They want an elevator now. Thank you, Mr. Becker, for all your input.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
Appreciate it.
So at this time, we'd just be looking for a motion from this committee, a recommendation of a favorable.
I'll make the
approval.
motion, Ms. Ferrara.
Okay, is there a second? Second?
Mr.
All
Phillips,
those
you
in favor?
can't second it.
Mr., who else is on the?
I am.
Yeah,
I'll second
Cusick
it.
can.
Okay, Mr. Kusick, okay. No.
That's okay. You jumped right in there. That's good. Hey,
Thank you for the second,
Okay,
Mr.
we'll
Phillips.
move it on to the full council meeting.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
And
Next,
moving
Sarah
on.
Can you-
is.
can I stop here for a minute? We never formally, she was ever introduced to the council. It would be nice, I'm sorry. I mean, she's been so.
Really?
May
Yeah.
I introduce, and we apologize for the oversight.
It's not an
I
oversight.
think we've mentioned her a couple of times in the last,
Yes.
since she's been here, but
If I could just correct so you don't feel too bad, you did, but Bob was just here. I mean, was not here.
Mr. Warner.
And I thank
This is
Mr.
Sarah
I
Ortiz,
thank Mr.
our
Phillips.
executive secretary for
Yes.
DCED.
I know,
This is
I
Bob
have met her
Warner.
at
He's
your
the
offices, but I thought it would just be
councilman,
nice as a
Mr.
formal
Phillips, Mr.
introduction
Ferraro,
to the Jersey
Mr.
girls and,
Cusick, and Mr. Kraft.
Hello, everyone.
Aye.
Nice to meet you all, officially.
And again, we apologize for the
no,
any
no,
oversight
it's my
that
fault.
may have
Obviously,
been-
if Mr. Phillips said I was wrong, I would have to agree with that.
course.
so.
We can check the minutes.
Yeah, we can follow the minutes on that. Shall we go back and do that? Right to know?
I think he's right.
You think so?
Yeah. I think you weren't here.
Yeah, I know.
It's possible.
And two
Rare,
things.
but
One,
possible.
if you look at our website,
Usually always
Sarah
thank
has
you.
done amazing things with it. She's a real craft person when it comes to it, and she's really upgraded it intensely. And she helped Mark and I develop the carry piece, which is in your packets tonight, which we'll talk about in just a little bit.
Okay.
So what you just received is our 2017 Community Investment Partnership Program, or SIP, review and selection process. We shared this with you last year. Really, nothing has changed since last year, except the dates. So we are looking to open this up on Monday, May 15th, and with hopefully the application proposals will be due July 14th, and we're hoping to make selections by October of 2017. We are asking again for one or two participants from council on the review committee. Last year, Mr. Warner and Mr. Phillips did an admirable job.
I think I'll make a
On-
motion that we keep it the same because they did a good job.
Volunteers us all the time.
No, you did a fine job because you came with what was good and made it cut down on the questions.
You can put me down.
Okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah,
I'll go.
thank you.
Just a quick question.
Yes.
This timeline is significantly earlier
Yes.
Yes.
than last year, then? Okay.
Last year was a little delayed with all the staff transition.
That's correct.
And we know that you like to kind of have this before you're in the middle of budget season.
Yeah, it's real nice
So,
to have it early.
We'll try to have that wrapped up
Hi, Mr. Warner.
before then.
I think that, this is no, I mean, I like it, this is no accident. We asked for this to come up.
Yep.
In this street to come up through.
And it will be advertised through the website, paid advertisement. So, and
So no one can say they didn't see
it's
it.
been out there. We've been letting everybody know that the application, the guidelines will be available on the 15th.
And I probably asked this question before, so I'll probably be reprimanded for asking again, but there is money that was carried over from last year, correct?
So the way for the 2017 budget, we budgeted $700,000 in this year's budget.
Okay.
That is the amount that's what we are basically advertising for now is how that $700,000 will be spent in the SIP program this year. So for the 2018 budget, we will come to council with a request for a dollar amount for the 2018 SIP.
But I think what, if I understand what Bob is saying is that we didn't allocate in the budgeting process everything for the SIP
Right.
fund.
We allocated all
Well, we did.
700. It
last
was,
year.
I think
We
it wound up
added
being
things.
We added things to it. We did.
$500 or something.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
took into consideration some people had
Now,
just,
as we close down 2015's SIP projects and 2016's, actually 2016's, most of 2016 won't be shut down in time for the budgeting process. There may be some dollars that say projects came in under funding. That stuff would get rolled back into future grants.
And just like we did last year, when we go through this, I'd be interested to see what we haven't spent from years past. You know, like we did last year, which is very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We'll do that. We'll keep it nice and organized, try to make it as painless as
When
possible.
does the hotel tax kick in, the applications, et
The
cetera?
2000, we'll cover that, but they're due the end of the month.
Okay.
They're due on the 31st. And that's
May.
of May.
May.
And that's been out
Yeah, it's been out a while.
a while. We took out an advertisement. It's on the website.
Called people,
Yeah.
reminded people.
No,
Right.
no excuses.
This one here, was one of these the signs, the Wayfair signs in Bethlehem or something?
I believe there was
Yes.
a wayfinding
Because they're
signage
actually
project
going up,
with
they
them.
look pretty good.
yes, it
They look
was.
like I'm going to hit my head on them if I walk underneath them. That
You got
side
a
of the
Bell
street, but,
helmet.
You know, I'm 6'5", so.
I'm sure they all meet the city codes.
But
Ken.
they do. But they look really. It's a heck of an idea. I know they're just getting into it because you have to order them and all, but it's great. It looks really
I
nice.
don't know that we've reimbursed them.
Right,
for
they have to
anything
have it
yet.
done before you give
Yeah.
them the money.
The way that program works, you do the work,
Yeah. You have to show
submit
that
the
you've done it.
invoice.
Yep,
and we'll pay back.
which I agree with.
Mark,
Yes.
I don't want to take you off track, but Ken brought up past projects. Why don't you talk about what we're doing in this work for the Eastern, Greater Eastern Partnership?
Yes, so one of the awards in 2017, or no, 2016,
16.
I'm sorry, I get my years confused, was a $40,000 grant to the Greater Easton Development Partnership to help develop a neighborhood strategy for the West Ward. And since then, they were awarded a Heart and Soul grant
Right.
through the state, which is really a public engagement process. And so we've been able to kind of leverage those two grants together to help make a even better informed planning process through a strong public engagement process. And I believe they have a kickoff meeting coming up Hayden, is it next week?
Oh, no, I thought that.
Yeah, I have to
I
double
it
check
my
on the
calendar.
date. I have to double check on the date. I have it on my calendar as well.
And that's one of the
Okay.
things that Bob and I understood, during that session, we approved and
Correct.
put it to council.
Yeah, council approved that with their.
So it's kind of neat to see that go through the steps.
Mhm.
Come through.
Okay, how are we doing with the gaming?
Good, actually. We received notice of a distribution of $1,054,680, of which $442,697 is directed to the Gaming Authority. The authority has not yet met to determine whether it's going to implement a round one, and they're probably going to wait to the second quarter distribution before they do that, or at least until May 26th, which is the cutoff date for the legislative decision on the Supreme Court decision. So that's where we are as far as the authority is concerned. Mr. Phillips, I believe.
Do you want to run that by me again? Give me that number.
Yeah.
The distribution was $1,054,680. Of that, $442,697 gets directed to the Gaming Authority.
Do you have a list of where everything else goes for everybody's edification? Because they're going to be, they're going to like it.
30% goes to 30% of it is $265,618, and 60% is $346,365. So now that means that I think the 30% is the distribution for what's his game?
Well,
Distribution is for
I think Hayden's.
Oh yeah. We don't want to step in front of you, sir. That's
Okay.
you have a,
How the money.
yeah, but we just got the notice. Just I wanted to share that with you.
Allentown
The
got
breakout,
1.2
Mr.
million.
Phillips will discuss.
Lehigh County got 700,000. Is that what
Do
you're
you
saying?
have the copy to hand out to people?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
So we do intend on being brief tonight, but Mr. Phillips has a discussion with this, so we're going to put that in.
Oh, that's good.
Have the original, all your notes on it.
What does this mean? What's your non-certified working?
Yeah, I put this on a bottom, non-certified working document, because I got this from different sources, and when it came down to the fine-tune, the reading the law, Mark gave it to me. But really, I was having a hard time understanding where the host fees were and what part of all the revenue that was coming in was in jeopardy. So what I did was I looked at the overall allocation. So I went back to 2013, which I found certified, $291 million for slots for the Sands. And by state law, the Sands keeps 46 cents of each dollar. So of that 291 million, the Sands kept 134. Meaning that 54% of every dollar that the Sands makes in slots goes to the state. And that's broken down. 34% is property tax relief. So for the Sands, for the state of Pennsylvania, 99 million in 2013 went to property tax relief. Hold on to your horses. 11% or 32 million from the Sands went to the horse racing industry.
Wow.
5% went, or 15 million went to tourism. And this is where it gets extremely complicated. 4% goes to local and county government share. And if you could just follow this, going up at the top, that 4% is broken down into 2%. And the first 2% is for the host fee. Now, if you look at this, local and county government share is 12 million. You would think it would be 6 million and 6 million that was broken down, but it's not, because the law says 2% or a minimum of $10 million. And this is the part right here where Mount Airy said, that's not fair. You're charging us more than you're charging per dollar than you are the other casinos. So this is where they had the court challenge, and this is really the only part of the law, to my understanding, that absolutely needs to be changed. If you break that down, so there's $10 million according to the law. 80% goes to Bethlehem, that's $8 million, and 20% goes to Allentown, that's $2 million. So that takes care of half of it. And then the other 2% is that local share, which this is a true $6 million. That is about, that's, what is that, Mark? 1.2?
So the county gets 1.2%.
1.2%, thanks.
Is split up amongst like Northampton County municipality, the county and Bethlehem, and the general fund, and then 0.08% goes to Allentown, Lehigh County, and non-host
Let me just walk them
county
through that. So
municipalities.
for the local share, it stays within Northampton County, or it doesn't. So 1.2 of the 291 million, which is $4 million, stays within Northampton County, which basically broken up is 1 million goes to Bethlehem, 2 million goes to the gaming authority, and 1 million, sometimes they call this tax relief. It generally goes into the general fund. It hasn't really given us any tax relief, but it goes into the general fund. Couple points I want to make here. As I said, the only part of this that really has to be cured with the legislation is where I have that Mount Airy, that challenge. There's a couple different ways to solve that there's being talked about. The other thing I want to talk about is, and I couldn't figure this out, Mayor Donchez frequently says Bethlehem needs this money, which obviously they do. It's $9 million per year for the 100 police officers. So that's what equates it. $9 million a year.
Or firefighters, too.
Is it firefighter?
Anything that has to do with servicing that casino. Firefighting, police, EMS. EMS goes there every day. I'm telling you.
I'm just telling you what he has said publicly. He says he equates this $9 million with the 100 police officers.
Yeah, but what he meant was it's EMS, it's firefighting,
okay.
It's police officers. That's host fees for, and they're there every day.
What
EMS is there every day.
With the $9 million was, I understood the 10 million, which was the minimum, and I understood the 80%. So that was at $8 million. Talking to Mark, and I'm sure I've been driving him crazy. He explained to me where the other million came from. The other thing I want to talk about is when Matt Dietz and I and Mark and Tim and Karen went up to talk to Mario Scavello. I had been at a meeting with Lisa Boscola and the governor, and it was said with some authority that these gaming authority funds to Northampton County wasn't going to be funded this way, that they were going to go to the Commonwealth Fund.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you'll never see it again.
So I talked to Mario, and his take is, and this isn't written in stone, this is what his think it's going to happen is that this will be split up in numerous ways. Half of it will be divided between him and Lisa Boscola, and the rest will be divided, the other half will be divided among the Northampton County.
Why would Mario Scavello get anything? He's not even in Northampton County.
Well, he does
Yeah,
have.
he does.
He has a little northern tier of Northampton County,
Yeah, he does have.
and they're going to give him half of the gaming
Bushville
revenue?
Township.
That is totally ridiculous.
I'm just telling you.
A man who doesn't even understand the gaming process. The person you need to talk to is Lisa Boscola and John Stofa, who made this grand gesture of giving Allentown and Lehigh County all the money.
Well, Lisa Boscola is the one who actually very forcefully said, that, and she said that at the response of a non-contiguous township who felt that it was easier for her to get money from Monroe County than it was from...
It is.
It is.
It is.
And Lisa said, well, we're going to fix that. We're going to put that into the GFA. I'm just the messenger.
You missed part of it on here, though, because various others, you don't have Easton in here. City of Easton gets money out of that pie also.
Table games.
No, they get
That's table games.
they get some of this shared revenue too, because they did that. They split it up.
I don't think they get slots revenue. I
They
think
get table
a
games.
portion of the
I
table.
think we better look at it. I know they get table games too, but they get a little bit from this too. But that's okay. Go ahead.
This is all slots. And just some things from that may happen is Pat Brown. His idea to solve this is don't open up Pandora's box completely. Just fix that Mount Airy challenge.
The 4%.
That 2% right there. And what his take is charge everybody a fee for $10 million. So it wouldn't be based on revenue. And to make up the shortcoming, then they would give the county or the casinos tax credits. So in this instance here, then the casino, Sands, would get a $4 million tax credit. Because they had $6 million of revenue, the $4 million difference is what they'd get in a tax credit. Mount Airy would be significantly less than that. That's the way he wants to solve it. Other people, like Lisa, she would like to have more money go into property tax relief, and she would like to have that gaming authority slot there, say, Commonwealth Fund. Also, I don't know if it depends on how big this horse racing industry is. There's a lot of people, that's why when I show this chart to people, they're in disbelief that much money is going to the horse racing industry. So that's getting a lot of traction. I don't know how powerful that industry is going to be if we can crack that. One thing I do have to say is I've been at a meeting with this, and again, I keep shouting the governor like him and I are buddies. I met him once. But there were people in that room who said, well, this is we have to tax more. But I think the thing is that, the PA slots is the most heavily taxed in the country. They only keep 46 cents of every dollar that they make. I think that the consensus I got was, and I actually made the analogy. I told them, I said, you have to be very careful you don't kill the golden goose. And I think there was a lot of people that were like, we have to be very careful that we don't. So what I'm saying here is I don't think this pie is going to expand. I don't think it's going to get smaller, but I don't think it's going to expand. So I think that this 54% of the overall is what we're at, how that gets allocated, and I think that 4% for local and county governments is going to stay the same. But how that affects Northampton County, I think is in question. Any question? I mean, I just.
Well, I'd like
that's why I
to.
put some of this disclaimer on here.
I'd like to
Not
go
a
back.
for a
Yeah.
working copy because I did the math and I think the math is right.
I'd like to go back to the gaming authority that I sat on for years, and Seth Vaughn sits on now, I believe. I know they haven't had a meeting. They had the tendency of granting money to people that wasn't there yet. Have they met all their obligations? They would send a grant out to Bethlehem Township for another 37 police cars that they don't need, and they would do it in installment loans as the money came in. Right. Have all of them obligations been met before we start about divvying up the $442,000? Because they always have everybody on a string for like way far out.
The way that works is that they're distributed the way they come in, which is quarterly.
Right. So
the awards are made on estimated return.
The awards are made on an estimated returns. Get this one, Mr. Phillips, because you won't like it at all. And then they give the money out when they get it quarterly, after everybody buys
then
things.
They distribute that quarter's.
Have they met up? Are they even with all the estimated returns that they didn't get yet that they're supposed to have promised to people? Has that been met?
If I understand your question, there are 2015 and a few 2016 contracts that are still open. but most of them are open because we're waiting for reports. I believe, as far as 2015 is concerned, all the money has been divvied out, and as far as 2016 is concerned, all the money has been paid out against invoices, well, it's actually not done on invoices.
Yeah, but
It's just
2016
paid
isn't
out.
over yet.
Yeah. So 2016 is still,
I mean, we're only 4 months into it. It's 2017, I mean, 2016 is
yeah.
money. Well, anyway,
right, so the 2017 has not been, has not been done for that.
what
And
I'd
they
like...
haven't met, as Mr. Vaughn said, they haven't met to.
Right, well, there's nothing to meet for. But what I'd like to have see done with the Gaming Revenue Board is not giving money out on estimated revenues, giving money out on money on hand. I think the bonds and the issue should never, ever happen on, oh, we're going to get $10 million this year, or God knows whatever number they arbitrarily throw up. Now everybody go out and get the money, and we'll pay you when we get it. I think it should be, they should maybe take a year break, put the money in the bank, and then give it out when they have it, not when they think they have it. I don't think it's a smart plan.
I agree with you entirely.
It's
I
an
agree with you. And
interesting-
actually, when we were up at at Mario Scavello's office, he was amazed that we did it this way, because the way they do it is a year delayed, and they pay on invoice.
And that's exactly what we should do, but we also have this convoluted gaming authority that's designed to fail, you know? When you have 5 municipalities that are contingent, or
Yeah.
whatever they're called, and you have 4 guys that really are out in the outskirts, the 5 divvy up all the money to themselves, and there's never anything for everybody else in Northampton County, the whole thing should be disbanded.
Well, I'd like to apprise you of the fact that we
It
do
should
that.
be.
That we do that with hotel tax too. It has not been the case, apparently, that that the county has waited a year and then has run hotel tax. Hotel tax runs on estimated income and
Right.
pays out in the same
Yeah,
manner.
but hotel tax seems to be a little more, you know, people do stay in hotels, but casinos, I mean, you charge somebody 54% tax in a state when all other states are charging 7% tax for a casino. You watch how long till this
Yeah.
golden goose dies and they go away.
That's my concern.
I mean, you know, you're talking about divvying up money and this money and that money. This is all like, this is definitely government convoluted in the best way they could possibly do it. Let's make it as complicated as we can to get everybody to grovel for pennies.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, and it should all be, this whole thing should be disbanded
Well,
and rewritten.
from
but-
DCED's perspective, when it comes to administering grants like this, we would much rather wait a year and then administer the grants and pay on invoice. Because guessing what we're going to have to come in, and we have to put clauses in the agreements that say, oops, if it doesn't happen, if we don't get as much as we expect,
Yeah, you shouldn't
you're
have
gonna
to
get
do
a
that.
percentage. And actually, that happened last year on the gaming, I believe.
I mean, I understand that, you know, we did the hotel revenue for 100 years that way, but this gaming is new, and to do it in this model, I think is ridiculous, and you look what happened. I mean, everybody's
concur.
wondering what's going to happen, and, you know,
From an administrative point of view, we concur 100%.
you know, I mean, I've been on gaming revenue boards where they, you know, they prove you're supposed to prove that you have a need for the money.
Yeah.
And they prove they have a need for the money, and they don't give them anything. Well, you already get a host fee. You shouldn't have to get an impact fee. Well, they're two different things. So they set the law up to have a fight going on right away, you know. And it's like, oh, we responded to 275 accidents in front of the Sands in the last year. Well, you don't have a thing. You go to Bethlehem Township, oh, yeah, our traffic citations went up. We need 17 cop cars. I asked them to show their citations. They went down. Year on year, the traffic stops went down. Guess who got the money? Yeah. It's ridiculous.
I've been on the.
You sat on the board
I
for,
haven't been on the board.
you went to 3
nearly
meetings.
As long as you have, but I mean, I wouldn't paint it with such a wide brushstroke like that. I mean, there was some pretty heavy scrutiny on Bethlehem Township.
Follow the money. Well, now there might be, but I mean, they already have a Taj Mahal. It's, you know, the whole thing, I mean, just this whole gaming thing, I don't think they should spend a dime or promise a dime to anybody until they have it in hand. That's all I would
Okay.
say.
Can I just a couple points? Most of what you say I completely agree with. The one piece I think you missed out is what's also going on out in Harrisburg is you have state reps and state senators that don't have casinos
That want
that
money.
are looking for a piece of this pie as well. So that's going to even complicate the situation with making the changes based on the litigation even more difficult. And then the other thing is that whatever does come out of this, we're going to have to be prepared in either June or July, whenever the budget, hopefully June or July when the budget is passed, to react and work with our local municipalities to turn around and now apply to a different
We are
system.
prepared. Karen and I especially have sat down and worked through contingencies. And if it stays the same, we're ready. If it changes, here are the 3 possible areas that it might go. So how do we react to that? And we've begun those discussions. Because we do want to be prepared, we don't want to get caught, blindsided. So we feel that we're very prepared to make changes, to pivot where we need to pivot, and take care of it, and maintain transparency and appropriate application of the funds.
This was a very proactive thing. I have to credit Hayden for bringing this information out and doing the job on it and bringing people together on it. It's proactive in the fact that we didn't understand a lot of this. I guarantee you we sat in front of this and didn't get a chance to look at it from a pie chart or the numbers. And this will shed light on what's taking place, especially with what's happening with Boscola and Scavello and Freeman and what's taking place at the state levels.
And every other
Okay.
state.
And every other
Any
state,
other
every-
questions or thoughts?
Quick question, did you mention when they're going to be voting on this?
May 26th is the cutoff date for the legislature to have some sort of response to the Supreme Court. They did receive quite an extension before. Presumably, they would not get another one, but you never know.
Yeah.
It's Harrisburg.
Yeah,
so-
I don't think they're going to get another one.
Yeah.
If I may, the problem with this, and that's how Mario got wind of your discussion, Ken, where we're promising stuff before we actually have the money.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mario's like, well, May is, you'll be guys okay, because you got a little bit of a cushion. And we're like, no, we have no cushion. Everybody else who does this has a year in arrears.
Which
Before
we
they
should.
Yeah, which is what you said. We should stop, if we go back to normal, the way normal was,
Right.
at minimum, stop for a year to get a cushion.
I mean,
and then start paying out.
The cat's out of the bag with the hotel, and it's been going at forever, and everybody having an aneurysm if they didn't get their grant this year at the end of the year. But, if we did that for that also,
Right.
to actually have money that we have to give out, not, hey, we're projecting.
That's a frugal
insane.
way. That's a frugal way of doing it.
Who runs that way?
Nobody.
I don't buy a built-in pool in my yard till I have the money,
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And I'll be the first to jump in it.
Okay, saltwater is going to be...
And one of the things, in regards to what
Prevailing wages.
John said, for that, there are other counties that have no casinos whatsoever who are dying to get a hold of this, and that's why I said this pot is not growing, and Pat Brown, he is trying to just keep a really don't open this up. He just wants to have that one thing fixed, because if they open this up to like Lisa wants to
everybody
do,
jumps in.
then everybody's going to jump
Right.
in.
Well, they have that 34%, that property relief that nobody's ever seen. That 34% goes to tax property relief
it
for the
does.
entire state,
Yeah.
not for us.
No.
So, that's the misconception that it went for us and just this Northampton
Oh, no,
County.
that
Everybody
99
thought-
million,
Everybody thought that $10
that's
million
spread out
host fee
across
was property tax.
yeah,
It has
that doesn't
confused.
affect, that doesn't, it
Right.
absolutely does not help us.
But that 34% and that 11% just goes into the vapor of the state budget. And they're broke, $1 billion. So,
Well, no, the 11% doesn't go in a vapor. That's
well,
that's
it
a
goes
lot
to
of
horse
horsepower.
racing industry, which, I'd call a vapor anyway. We're talking betting on ponies.
Where that 99 million actually in fact goes, or if it just goes into a general fund.
No, the 99 million does go to tax relief. The only problem is, it is, by the time you spread it out for every household, if your bill is, everybody's bills is thousands of dollars.
Right.
It might be $90. It's so diminutive, it's not relevant.
Well, they
It's
didn't
not
raise your
printed on
taxes
the
at the
bill.
state level.
It's, you don't get that. You don't know.
So you don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody knows. Nobody knows.
Okay.
That was fun.
That was fun, right?
That was really fun.
Thanks,
Good
Mr.
job.
Phillips.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips.
Okay, an update on your department.
Yes,
and you have a
we've
nice
been working
outline
very,
as usual.
very stringently on our economic development work, and so I'd like Mark, who leads our charge in that area, to handle the next 2 items.
Thank you.
Just wanted to update you on 2 of our bigger projects and initiatives that we're undertaking right now. The Green Knights Industrial Park 2, we've had a presentation here about that. They actually broke ground on their environmental cleanup work So that has begun, which is, and that is expected to continue into the third and fourth quarter of this year. And we are working with, we have an EPA grant. We're working with our EPA project manager to extend that grant. It's supposed to expire.
Is that the tire dump?
Yes,
Okay.
it's a tire dump. So, but very exciting that work has begun.
I need to
There's no
apply
tires there
names
anymore,
to
are
things like tire dump.
There
turtle
is
No,
dump.
me
a tire-filled quarry.
There's still tires in that
They
quarry?
estimate there is about 1 million tires.
Because I remember when it was a big,
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, that you
It
don't
was a
see them
mount-
from the
they got rid
road.
of the mountain,
and
and
compacted it.
no, they removed the mountain
Okay.
like off-site, 2
But
million
tires
tires,
float.
and
Well, it's a
that's
million.
what we're learning as we're trying to
Yeah, they keep
compact
coming
it.
up.
It's very interesting.
How are they
But
cleaning the tires up?
the tires, they're going to cap it
And put
with
soil on.
slate spoils that are on the site.
Mhm.
They're going to basically
Bury it, yeah.
fill in the quarry
Slag.
and bury the tires.
But they took 2/3 of them out.
Because I know New York
What's
City
that gonna
takes
do to
them
the
out from
groundwater?
ocean and dumps them in
Oh,
Uh,
that's wonderful.
EPA,
Stop that.
DEP has all signed off on this, on water testing, so I trust the professionals
Yeah.
that they've done their
Okay.
due diligence and.
They've done a great job.
So they're
so-
capping it now. They're
So
starting
we're
to
in
do
the
cap.
process of capping the tire film.
And then 1 million cubic feet of dirt on top of that, and then compact it and hope to
Right,
God it
and then
doesn't.
we're going to park your car on it, Ken.
You know
to
what
test
would be really nice, if there's an earthquake in the area, those won't break. They'll float, like in Japan. They're on springs.
Something that
Okay.
moves.
So,
It's fluid.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
so this
No, no, it was
is
an earthquake
all
first.
being done on spec. We don't have anything
No, the
to,
earthquake
no
hit Japan.
line of sight, no, I don't even say, you don't have to tell me if anybody is thinking about it, but there's no,
so the Green
it's
Knights.
done on spec. We're doing this on speculation
The Green
that
Knights is
it
a
will be developed.
nonprofit economic development organization, and what they're trying to do with this site is take what would basically it's pretty much an unusable site right now, and create a usable site. So they're basically getting the site pad ready that a developer could come in and
Build
purchase, portions of it and put up buildings.
What's the footprint on that?
Interesting.
I want to
Couple acres?
say it's 40 or 50 acres. They're looking to get about 10
Usable.
usable sites out of it.
It's right behind that, what was that place called, Bob? The Hullabaloo or something was there?
The
Was it
what?
the Hullabaloo? I know Peg
Yeah.
would remember, because she probably went
Yeah,
partying there every
there's a
night.
farmer's market up there behind it.
Yeah.
The
Hullabaloo,
used
remember
tires
that?
from the farmer's market.
Okay, Mark.
So the next project I wanted to update you
You're
on
too young.
is
You
the
weren't
shell
born
building
when it was
project.
torn down.
If you recall, a number of months ago, John Kingsley came in from LVEDC and gave a presentation about the dearth
12
of
33.
20 to 80,000 square foot shell buildings, or 20 to 80,000 square foot
tires were
small
behind it.
manufacturing flex spaces. We put out an RFQ for prospective sites and developers to partner with to develop that. I'm here tonight to report that what we call the Northampton County Development Partnership, which is the Northampton County General Purpose Authority, the Northampton County Industrial Development Authority, and the Northampton County New Jobs Corps, have agreed to put in a $500,000 subordinated loan into a site up off of Jacobsburg Road to help encourage a 32,000 square foot flex building. So we're pretty excited about this. This is all money that it comes from the authorities, would be invested into the project, and then repaid once the developer either sells the property or has a tenant.
So they're putting up a shell.
They're putting up a shell, and it's in the square footage that we want.
What's the zoning, or what's the labeling of the shell? Is it industrial?
It's light industrial, small flex manufacturing space.
We did well with Teco Block years
Right.
ago.
Right. That was we'd love to see another Teco block.
We
It's on
love it.
Jacobsburg. How close to the trails?
It's right next to the new coordinated
Yes.
health facility.
Yes.
Up there. So with any luck, we expect that construction will start early summer,
That's really far away from us.
and that the shell building could essentially be up by the end of the year. So,
Yeah, I mean, if you can see it, it's all leveled out.
well, there's also a site right across the street that is, I think it's a 350,000 square foot warehouse that's going up, but it's right across the street from that. It would be on the other side. So it's on the east or west side of Jacobsburg Road. Okay.
Just
I'm sorry. go ahead.
quick question. What drove the site location? Why did you choose this site? I mean,
That was the only developer that responded to our proposal. And we evaluated it. It is a good location. And, I think our next step, once we get this one going, we're going to go back out and try to get more people interested in this. But, that location, it's in the Slate Belt, which could use the economic activity. The location from an economic development standpoint, it's got good access to the highway. We felt it was a strong location that made good sense to make an investment there.
Yeah. Then my other question is there a market for this type of building? There seems to be a huge market for these enormous, warehouses that are going up all over the place. I don't see where do you see the need?
So
I see a big demand for these enormous warehouses, but if there was such a need for this, are we doing something where there isn't necessarily a need? Is what I'm asking.
That's not what our data and research is showing us. Based on prospects that come through LVEDC that are looking for space in the 20 to 80,000 square foot range, there is next to no inventory. And so they come through and they say, we want to locate here. And so we show them sites that you could build that kind of stuff new, but we're like 18 to 24 months, and they want to be in 6 months. So there have been a number of prospects over the years that we've had to turn away because we just physically don't have that space. And part of that, from the development community, to build the 100,000 square foot and more is certainly a very hot market, and they get a better return on their investment as opposed to building smaller, flexible manufacturing spaces. It's very expensive to build, so they're not willing to take the risk to build it on spec without a tenant, and the return isn't quite there.
It's a catch-22. The tenants won't come unless the building's there, and they don't want to build the buildings unless the tenants are there. So
That's why we think we need to be in there to kind of nudge the market to develop this.
Who's the builder?
Petrucci.
Petrucci.
This is interesting that you're bringing this up because this was one of the hot button items for the LVEDC at their last meeting, where they discussed, this same catch-22 situation where they have all these people who want to come to the Lehigh Valley and set up shop, but they don't want to wait for a developer to build the product or build it. We're actually low on inventory with space here.
None.
Well,
There's none.
I had, if I may, John, are you done with your question?
Mm-hmm.
What about the inventories? My last understanding was we have buildings. We have facilities that are still in our inventories. What are we doing with them?
Inventory to accommodate that type of space?
No, just not to accommodate, it's not a specialty item. I'm talking about buildings, facilities that we own, properties that are vacant that we have on inventory.
Well,
I don't know. We don't own the property.
Yeah, we don't.
A lot of vacant properties is what I'm saying. We don't have a way to move other properties that
That's
are
a
existing.
different-
Remember, there was supposed to be an
If
audit.
it's an existing building that
Yeah.
falls in that 20 to 80,000 square foot range, the building is most likely functionally obsolete and requires either significant rehab or renovation, or you need to start over.
So people are coming in saying, we don't want the old building.
They are not meeting.
I'm
they're not
oversimplifying
meeting,
it.
Yeah, they're
just
not
saying-
meeting. Those buildings do. You either have to really love that building,
Yes.
that like you're going to try to make it work for your business, and your business is unique enough that it can go in there and make it work. But most of these buildings are functionally obsolete. They don't have enough bays or
So I guess
clearances.
the question I was trying to get to was, how many of these functionally out-of-dated vacant buildings
That
may we-
I don't have a.
LVDC would know that, they're supposed to keep an inventory of that.
They
Maybe
may have
exception
some of
to
that, and some of that also depends on the ownership. If it's in private ownership, is it on the market?
Yeah,
Is it
we'll
not
tell
on the market?
Yeah.
You know,
According to Cunningham, we have, like,
Yeah,
According to,
you're on, go ahead, we
Yeah.
can hear you.
We have very little.
Very little.
Inventory.
it's
Like
under,
almost next to none.
I think under 4% for the 20 to 80,000 square foot.
Okay.
But, I don't know if this is where Bob's going, but we're going to see more Kmart's on 191.
Yes.
That those places that are in competition with Amazon.com, the malls, especially the strip malls, our Lehigh Valley Mall and the Palmer Mall is not doing terribly bad, but there's big malls across the United States that are closing. So those, when you look at the overall inventory, yeah, they're going to be a problem.
That's going to be I don't look at it. That's an opportunity.
Okay.
To redevelop those. Like these strip malls that were built in the 60s and 70s that had these massive retail anchors, that's the next big, great economic development challenge is how do you reuse those sites in a way? Because a lot of times they're located in areas that may not be great for manufacturing. Figuring out how you reuse those spaces is going to be a big challenge coming up.
And they don't lend themselves because you can't put cranes inside of
Right.
a Kmart because you don't got the clearance.
Right.
Yeah, so.
So the redevelopment of those sites is something we think about.
And, talking about some of those other vacant commercial warehouses that are out on the back roads, I know people that have looked at properties, and they're afraid to touch step in any of those, because who knows back in the day what gas tanks underneath there that they're now liable for. And
So
it's
we do have resources through the Lehigh Valley Land Recycling Initiative and through our office to help people evaluate what that environmental risk is, and if there is some kind of environmental issue similar to the Green Knights, we can help we either have or can help secure the resources to clean it up. So, I would not let that scare somebody away without really understanding what's there, and we have the resources to help them do that.
I will say, you guys,
It's amazing how much emphasis this Lehigh Valley places on economic development in comparison to some of the other areas. I mean, we have this not-for-profit LVEDC that has this entire team that is focused and dedicated on helping nurture and grow new business and bring business in. I mean, these guys are out there all the time attracting companies, and I mean, anything you need as a company to come in and you have a question or a concern, like Matt said, that they're here, they're there, they're working on it. It's,
just to add to that,
Governor's
just
Action
as
Team
of
is even located right within it.
As of recent, not in the past, as of recent, they have honed their skills on the LVEDC. They have, absolutely. Don has done a good job, and he's created brochures individually in different areas that have absolutely promoted that. And it's as of late. It hasn't been always that way. And that's why I asked about inventory and spaces. And Hayden was right. I was going down that road where Matt said about the vacant buildings that are going to be out of date and what we're going to do with those. Because I think they have to stay ahead of the curve that they've created now.
yeah, but that's not always our issue. I mean, those are privately owned places. I mean,
I agree.
I agree
No, I'm
with you.
not disagreeing
that's
with
not
that.
our job to go in and redevelop a privately owned old warehouse.
No, but you're courting industry.
Well, it is. You don't want
Okay.
empty space that doesn't get tax revenue for the county. So you
Mr.
want to encourage
Hurlinger,
people
would
to
you
take
like
them
to
over.
say a
That's a
few words?
philosophical question.
It is a very important, and we're working more closely than ever before with LVEDC, exchanging reports, and we've been on trips for the BIOS grant and other types of economic development activities, and because they have a lot of those resources, we can use those and reflect our smaller level activities, our Main Street activities, and support that with the kind of data that they provide. I wanted to give you one other positive outcome from the SIP grants. The City of Bethlehem and Arts Quest had a designed bike rack, artist-designed bike rack project, and they just awarded six 6 awards. And this is community development that supports economic development, because you might think, oh, bike racks are just something to look at. But if you can ride your bike in and park your bike and lock it up in a safe place, you can utilize the local businesses. And if you can utilize local businesses, the economy's going to go up. And more people can come in. And people who have biking groups can come in now and feel much more comfortable. So Bethlehem and Arts Quest did a wonderful job with that process. And we, as part of a larger grant that we had provided them, were a part of that. And they gave us nice recognition as well. So your decision to support SIP makes both an economic and a community difference in Northampton County. Trying to be aware of the time. In the interest of improving accessibility and communications, we created a draft dual-purpose piece, one to carry and one to leave. And that piece is the sample bifold that you have, trifold, I'm sorry. And so that's just a draft. But we wanted to show you that we're going to start being out there. This is going to be in every municipality. Once we have a couple design issues we want to conclude first. But this is going to be in every municipality. All the nonprofits will have it. Incoming businesses. When we talk to people from outside the county who are considering coming into the county, this is something we'll be able to provide them. And if they're business people, they're going to say, oh, wow, there are resources. And if they're nonprofits, they'll say, oh, there are resources. So this is just, like I say, it's a draft, but we wanted to show you that we are doing the outreach and the communications that we think is absolutely necessary. It doesn't help if we're just cloistered in our office. Doesn't work that well that way. The next meeting of the Council of Governments will be Wednesday, July 26th. It's going to be in the chapel at Graysdale, and Graysdale is going to make a presentation, and PP&L will make a presentation on electricity for municipalities. It's going to be a very interesting time. We had some scheduling problems with the PSAT's program, so we postponed to this, and we're starting to get some really nice responses from municipal and township folks. We've begun a quarterly newsletter to that end, and we're going to do it. We're going to send it out about a week or two after each of the COG meetings, or if one is canceled, we'll send it out in lieu of it, and then continue the quarterly process so that we can keep an information flow back and forth. You have a copy of that there. Since we've renewed our constant contact service, we also can send special messages, and we can get email blasts out without crashing people's email systems or sending 27 emails to get one little thing out. It's a lot less time consuming. Sarah manages that process and does it admirably, really, really well. So, we had about 35 projects for CDBG come in. The 28th was the last day for those to come in. And for our latest information, funding should remain consistent with last year. So the indication from a couple of politicians' offices and from our non-political consultants, they feel that we can probably expect somewhere around what we got last year, which was about $1.2 million. I'd like to note that Frank Brooks and I have visited quite a few of the smaller municipalities and some of the more remotely located ones to assure that they have access to these CDBG opportunities, and many of them have applied for eligible projects, which in the past they had not. In the recent past, they simply have not applied. So we're delighted, and we're just waiting for our HUD funding notice. As soon as we get that, we can move forward.
And
which municipalities did you go to that? Really
Rosetto, we went to Walnutport, we went to West Easton, we went to Glendon, we went to...
Glendon?
Yes.
Oh. Found somebody there?
I'm sorry?
Did you find somebody
Easy.
there?
Yeah.
We're very sensitive right now.
Lehigh Township?
Yeah, Lehigh Township. We went to quite a number of them.
Nazareth
and,
or Northampton?
Sir?
Nazareth or Northampton?
Yes, we've been to both.
Okay.
My goal is by the end of the summer, I will have at least been to every municipality once, and of course, discounting the cities which I'm in all the time, hopefully twice or three times, because that relationship is critically important. That's what we're here for. The 2018 hotel tax applications are due on May 31st. That's when it closes. So we're going to keep pushing forward on that. I want to tell you about the hotel tax 2005 grant program that we've been working on. Mr. Kraft asked about it earlier. We call it the TEDS program, and this is the money that was originally used for Arts Quest and PBS. We're remanufacturing that program, and we call it the TEDS program, which is Tourism and Economic Development. According to the legislation, the money has to be used for to further and facilitate tourism and economic development. So that's the program we've designed. I'll give you a glimpse of it. We still have some legal issues I want to make sure are covered because we don't want to come into this without 100% assurance that the program has no bugs or flaws. The plan is for this to be a multi-year program, 3 years maximum. 2 categories, capital and marketing projects. The most competitive projects will have a county-wide impact, but that won't exclude any individual projects. The minimum grant would be $25,000 a year and the maximum $150,000, and as I say, that's a 3-year program, and so we would be stretching that over. And we'd ask, at this point, we're considering a 1/2 to 1 matching requirement. So if you get $100,000, you would match it with $50,000. And $100,000 would be a year for 3 years. That's $300,000. Upon the county executive and council approval, the program's tentatively planned for rollout very late this summer, but hopefully so that we get things going before your budget program, a budget process. And of course, awards would be announced in December. Payment on invoices, and here's where we go back to Mr. Kraft's statement. Payment on invoices after January 1st. So we have the funds coming in throughout this year. We would know what we have. We know what we can grant, and then the invoices would come in, and we'd be able to document everything going forward. We wouldn't have to guess how much money is coming through. We now expect to bring the completed program to you at or before the June 1 program. We should have it approved by the solicitor's office and by the county executive by then. Have all the little bugs taken out of it. It'll be clean and green, and I will bring it to you in the next month. And that's all I had, Madam Chair.
I have one question.
Mr. Kraft.
This, you say 3 years, 150,000 max. We did $1 million over 10 years for
Yes.
Arts Quest?
Yeah.
What if somebody comes with a project like that again?
That would be up to the council to determine if you would like to vary from the standard.
Well, I mean, you're rewriting
and
the entire
standard has
thing.
not been approved. That's a proposed.
You're rewriting the entire thing to fit,
Yes.
you know, and
We're trying to provide grants for as many municipalities
Did-
and nonprofits.
did Arts Quest and PBS have a match requirement?
I don't believe they did.
Where did that match requirement come from? I don't think it's in the
That's
law
our
that they have to have a
recommendation.
match.
It's not a law. It's our recommendation. And if council decides that they don't like that, that's fine.
I mean, I like to see people have you know, or whatever you call it in the game.
Skin in the game.
But, I mean, Arts Quest turned that $1 million grant, the projected $1 million grant over 10 years into how much money, Peg? It was
Right.
$35–40 million.
Turn.
Yeah, they would have had it, but they didn't need to have it, and they were allowed to go out and find their own. It seems like they were. I don't know if it's the, you know, I don't know if it's the right way to go.
Council's more than welcome to strike that clause if you don't prefer it.
But I love people having, you know, hey, we want this grant and we have this much money to put in it. It kind of like staves off the, you know.
Having skin in the game was an important consideration for us, just to make sure that the county's funds are put into a project. Because if you're going to talk a 3-year project, you may want to make darn sure the project is going to fly for all 3 years. It's going to be successful, and quite often a measure of that is whether or not the organization can put up some level of support themselves. So,
Well-
but it's finally up to council as to
When
whether
we
you
when we
include
did
that.
when
I
Jeffrey
think-
Parks came here and decided to try to do this thing, it was a pipe dream. Everybody thought he was nuts. It was a brownfield, and I had keys to that place. It was a mess. And this council, not this
Remember
council,
it well.
Peg. I think you're the only one here that's
Remember
left
it
besides
well.
Ron. You were here, and you guys took. Yeah, I think you voted no, Mr. Kuzik.
Yeah, you did.
I actually voted yes.
You did?
I never voted no.
Wonderful.
And,
it was
and
a
one
good
of them
thing.
might be a candidate this year.
Yeah,
That's
you're
all I
right. I
have,
think you're
Madam
right.
Chair.
I know who that is. But it was, you know, it was great, and what it turned out there is something else. So we may see something
Amazing, yeah.
that I don't know. I mean,
And if we saw it and we thought it was a great project, we would bring it to you and ask you.
and recommended it
And
not have the
recommend
match.
it. We're very happy shifting the rules if the rules are to the benefit, if the shift is to the benefit of
Yeah.
the county. And in the end, we would bring it to you, make our case, and then you would
Yeah, I don't
tell
think
us.
any of us like a project that comes to us without
Any
showing
kind of-
good faith funding and background, that they have,
Well,
that they have some money in the bank
My
before they
problem was
come to us and
they had
ask us
no-
to do it all.
They wanted different, the project you may be talking about that shall not be named, asked us to do their study for feasibility for them, which I don't think is right at all.
Well, that's
You know, that's a whole different,
a whole opinion, but,
That's all I had, Madam Chair.
Okay, I can add, go ahead. Go ahead.
yes, Mr. Phillips.
I just want to thank Tim for something. You have ideas that you're working on, and they're not congealed. You're telling us what you anticipate, and you're taking input from us here. That's like really
It's our job.
kind of rare. But I do,
Well, thank you.
I absolutely love that foreshadowing.
It's, you're the boss. You guys are the boss, and so when we come up with something, if we go in a direction, we want to make sure that we're in the right direction.
Right.
So the benefit of this committee is to tell us what you're thinking as much as to tell you what we do.
Appreciate it. We've had a lot of dialogue.
Regarding
Very
this-
informal,
Regarding the
which is good.
CDBG funds, right?
Yes.
Bob Morgan called from Congressman Cartwright's office, and he felt very confident about what's happening. I don't know if they called you also.
Yeah, they called
did
us.
I don't know about that. You mean eat or to continue?
Well, at least our 3.5% donation to them is of their total. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Coffee time.
Going for a cup of coffee.
I already know. It's already there. Yeah, it's already known. Yeah, I don't know. Everything must be
What's the matter?
Do you like the letter I just got from a prisoner? Oh, really? Seth, will you read this for me and tell me what it says?
No, but it would be nice.
Well, they keep giving me more assignments, you know. When you start doing really well, then they're like, oh, this guy does well, so just keep giving him more and more, you know. At the end of the year, we'll see. I feel like it's more of a liberal company, to be honest with you. Some of the social policies are pretty